Hey artists, today I'm going to talk to you guys about collages. And so some of you may know what a collage is, but if you don't, a collage is basically when you make a picture or a composition from cutout pieces of picture or text that you can get from really any resource, okay? And so here's a couple of examples that I have. So this used to actually be a notebook cover that I collaged over top of because I didn't like the cover. And so I found these really great background pieces and then added some additional cutouts from other pictures. Here's one that I did for a journaling prompt. So they're great for visual verbal journaling. Which is when you kind of like answer a question or you write about your feelings, but instead of writing, you're creating, or you're doing a little bit of both, visual verbal journaling. It's great. Anyways, here's another collage that I did back in college when I took a Washington, D.C. trip. And so I took everything that I gathered from that trip and made a collage out of it. So business cards, painting that I did, a ticket to a festival, receipts, and then the agenda, which I drew over top of, which is another element that you can add to collage. So once you do your collage, you can always go back over top of it and draw or add hand-drawn pictures, or paint on top of them. It's a really versatile kind of art medium. So anyways, the things you'll need for a collage are pictures or text, and you can get those pictures or text from lots of different resources, from recycled paper, from old receipts, from magazines. That's where you're going to see me getting my pictures from today. You can also get them from flyers, junk mail, newspapers, and lots of other old books if you have them. Old calendars, that's a really great one because calendars normally have those large pictures. Just really lots of recycled paper. Any recycled paper is good. So yeah, the other thing that you'll need to do a collage are a pair of scissors and a glue stick or glue. I like using a glue stick, but you can use whatever adhesive you have, or tape even is fine, or a stapler is fine too sometimes if you can manage to get the stapler in there. And tape, like I said, is something that you can use, but it's also a great, if you have decorative tape like washi tape, that's also a really great addition to collages. So here's an example of what I'm talking about when I say washi tape, which is that decorative tape. It comes in lots of different styles, colors, things like that, but this is optional, of course. So yeah, really all you need: pictures, glue stick, scissors. All right, you guys go gather your materials and I'll see you back here. All right guys, before we get started, I'm going to talk to you really quickly about these magazines that I have here. These are some of my personal favorite magazines to work with when I'm doing collages. And so the first one that I want to tell you about is National Geographic. It is a great magazine. Not only is it just super informative and, just full of knowledge, but it's full of lots of really great, vibrant pictures, beautiful pictures, of scenery, people, places, just absolutely amazing. And they have some pretty good graphics too. For this same reason, I strongly suggest Smithsonian. It's another really great magazine full of really beautiful, strong pictures, and really, they're just great. They're great. The other one that I have here is a horticulture magazine. It's from the Wilson County Public Library. My grandpa handed this down to me. He used to go to the library and pick up old magazines that they didn't want anymore. And so, yeah, this is one that I like just because it's got lots of really beautiful drawn pictures or painted pictures or prints of drawn pictures of flowers, and just really great pictures of flowers. And I mean, just how interesting is that? So beautiful. But yeah, so these are just some of my favorite magazines to use when I do collage. Obviously, they're not necessary for you to have. You can use whatever you have available. And one thing I did want to note that I totally forgot to say is that if you have access to a printer, you can always print out pictures to use. Or if you don't have access to these types of resources, you can also get pencil and paper and draw your own pictures and make a collage out of your own pictures, or have other people draw pictures for you and then make a collage out of their pictures and your pictures. So really, it's very flexible. We can make it work for you. But yeah, okay. Anyways, so one thing that I like to do when I'm using my magazines is I like to go ahead and pre-rip papers. I think this helps me kind of get an idea of what I'm working with instead of flipping through a magazine and going, oh, I like this picture, let me cut it out, glue it down, and then maybe coming to this and realizing, oh, you know what, I love this, I want this to be my background, but I've already glued down some pictures. So I think, like I said, pre-ripping papers or having all of your pictures already cut out and ready to go in front of you is a really great way to kind of get an idea of what you want to make or where you want to head. Another thing I like to do too is when I do take out pictures like this, obviously I might only use this picture and then I have these other really great pictures. So what I'll do is I'll take this saved pictures and I'll put them away in a plastic bag so I have them for next time. Or folder. A folder works just as well. All right, the last thing that I'm going to talk about these magazine papers is that one thing that I look for when I'm going through the magazines are these really beautiful layouts. So this was a spread in the magazine and I thought it was really beautiful. It's really great. It's pretty neutral also. So it's kind of like it would be a good, to me, this would be a good background paper. So I might lay that down on my paper first and then build, you know, on top of it with other pictures. And it could be just as simple as, you know, this. And sometimes another thing that I like to do is change the orientation of the picture. So even though I'm looking at this picture this way, so even though these mountains are, this is the top and this is the bottom, top, bottom, sometimes I like to change the orientation. So now this is what was the bottom is now the top. And I think it helps build interest and kind of gives a nice contrast to your pictures as well. All right. Another thing that I think is important when doing collages is when you find a picture you like, making sure that once you've cut it out, so I'm gonna, let's say I'm gonna use this picture, I'm gonna cut it out from my magazine. I'm just gonna cut out the whole block. There we go, set this to the side, save it for later. Now, I could take this whole block of picture and glue it down and that's part in, that's fine if that works for you. But one thing that I really like to do that I think helps up the level of craftsmanship for your collages, or for my collages, excuse me, for my collages, is I like to cut the picture out even more. So I like to get rid of a lot of that background. If the background works for you, keep the background. If you don't need the background, cut it out. Like I said, it helps to up the level of craftsmanship. And kind of, it also helps to kind of join the picture. And so I'm just gonna cut around the lion, and his mane is kind of all over the place. So I'm just trying the best that I can. I might have given him a little bit of a haircut, and that's okay. Oh, there we go. And so by getting rid of all that background here, you know, it will integrate better into the picture. And like I said, it will look, you know, better. All right, and so as I'm cutting it, you can see one thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move the paper rather than my scissors, because sometimes that gets a little difficult if I'm trying to cut this way. It also gets dangerous because now you can see the scissors are pointing towards my fingers instead of away from my fingers. And so instead, by keeping the scissors in the same place and instead just moving the paper, it's easier to control. So I have better control over the paper, and I can get some of those sharper corners or those tighter corners just a little bit better. And another thing is that if you are cutting and you're having a hard time, you know, getting the right angle, don't be afraid to move the picture around and come at it from a different angle. Oftentimes that'll help you get, it will help make it easier to cut. All right, so I have two pictures here and here. I'm going to talk to you guys about glue, and then I'll let you guys get started on your own collage. So I have a glue stick. Like I said, you can use a glue stick, you can use bottled glue, tape, whatever works for you. But when I'm using a glue stick, I want to make sure that I cover the entire back, or at least the outline of the back, so that it lays nice and flat. And when I lay it down, I'm going to smooth it out so it kind of gets rid of those wrinkles and bubbles. All right. Yeah. Well, I think that's about all the advice, tips, and tricks I think I have for you. If you notice that an edge is still laying up, just add a little glue right there. It's okay if it's showing. It should dry clear. Yeah. Oh, just kidding. I remember, I almost forgot. When you're planning your collage, once you've got all your pictures out, it might help to rearrange them or arrange them how you want them before you glue it down. And if you have a phone, take a picture of it. That way you have a reference. So once I get all my pictures the way that I want them to be, I can go back and take them off and then start gluing them down. That way you don't glue something down and then realize, oh, I didn't really want that there. Oh, I found something even better to put in that space instead. All right. I'm going to get started on my collage. You guys should do the same. I hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you next Monday.